Hello, everyone, and I am back. I took a pause for the cause. So now I am here to talk about tips for being a teacher and just being in the classroom. Things that get you hired, and things that also help you be inspiring and inspired. When you're in the classroom, things can get monotonous. You do see the same lessons repeatedly. You have students who will be taking the same lessons, or like I have two students, both young boys, and they're literally one lesson behind each other. So it's like I'm always teaching the same one. But on one end, you're going to get very privy to those lessons, and it's going to make it easier for you to teach. And the second end of that is just like the longer I've been teaching, the less time I have to spend in the preparation phase. I remember when I first started teaching, I would every night review my schedule, every single lesson, and go through how I would teach it and go through what props I needed and just make sure that I understood how to go through each slide and how to most effectively get in the lesson and all the objectives. And now I've seen the majority of them before. They add new lessons and new slides every once in a while, but it comes quicker to me now, so I don't spend as much preparation time. That's the beauty of it, is you start off in the beginning having to do a lot of preparation, and then you work up to a point where you don't have to do that anymore. So this is all about evolvement. Like, you evolve into the butterfly that you want to be, but you have to give it time. So time is of the essence in every other aspect but this one. Like, you cannot rush the process. So don't. I hope you guys can't see my lunch. I had a good lunch. Okay, so we're going to talk about just like my average morning and just like what I do to get started, and then some things that I do to just keep things funky in the classroom. So for me, I wake up about 5:45. My classes always start at 6. I wake up 15 minutes before because I literally, like, my sleeping space and my teaching space are in the same area. It doesn't take me a long time to get myself together. And I do a lot of prep work at night, so I just make sure my computer's charged, ready to go, headset's plugged in. All of my props are literally within, like, a reach. Like, I can grab any prop that I want just in 2 seconds. I don't have to really think too much about where my props are. My setup allows for me to get them quickly. I do know some people have bins that they set up, and they go like class 1, class 2, class 3 in the bins, and then they just pull out class 1 and they do that, and they pull out class 2 and then they do that. That's what they say, organized. I would say no matter what, like, my classrooms always look wrecked by the end of the day. I've just got props everywhere, dinosaurs and butterflies and stickers just everywhere. But what I try to do is in between my classes, or as one class is starting and another class is ending, I kind of do what I'm doing now, and I'm listening to my student, and my hands are busy cleaning up the props for the last class during the rapport section, where I'm just like, how was your day? How's the weather today? What is your favorite sport? And that's a good time to just kind of start collecting yourself. And luckily for me, like, my kids can't really see my corner that I'm doing and grabbing things, so it's really convenient. And in the classroom, things are a lot more zoomed in than they are right here. And so my space is literally like, and I wear a headset so they can't hear the cars outside because I live in New York. So my daily morning starts about 5:45. I wake up, I get some water in me, I do a small morning routine. I pull my hair back because for me, I get distracted when my hair is all in my face and just like down. I don't like it. It's just my personal preference to always pull my hair back. For my naturalistas, I have taught with my black scarf covering all of my hair before, like just like this. I've taught like that, and I just put my headband on. Let me show you. I'll do like this, and like they don't notice. They think it's my hair. So you can still have your twist out in. Just put your scarf, and I usually just put my headband or something over it. I teach the majority of my classes that way. It's the morning time, so I don't do makeup. I don't do a lip. Not for me. To me, that's another step that makes it complicated, and I have to do easy. Easy is what I'm about. So I do this, though. I wake up every morning, and I grab some essential oil. Like, this is lavender. I do not use lavender in the morning. No. But I do grab orange. I have orange essential oil. And I put that on, orange or lemongrass, one of the citruses, something that's uplifting, because it's their nighttime and our morning, and I don't want it to look like I just woke up. So I do kind of give myself a little bit of a citrus lift by putting some citrus, like a drop of citrus in my hands, lemon, lemongrass, orange, and I smell it. And then I put it on my face, and it just kind of brightens me up. I'm someone who just naturally wakes up okay, but that just gives me that extra boost. And I'm big on having a cup of water, so I always have my bottle of water prepared before my classes. It's full. I drink half right when I first wake up, and I sip on it throughout the rest of my classes. And I'm typically done with that bottle. I have to go straight to the bathroom when I'm done. I do not take bathroom breaks because I teach 8 back-to-back. And I can do that. You might not be someone who can do that. So water is essential for me. It might not be essential for you. Okay? And I also do jumping jacks. So I hit 25 jumping jacks before I sit down because some mornings I'm more tired than others. For me, going to bed by 10:30 usually means I wake up and I'm in a good place. If I go to bed anytime after that, I am tired and I need a little bit of help. Regardless, I do jumping jacks just to get my energy level up and get my body awake. Like you've just been sleeping and you're going from a sleeping state to because my kids expect that of me. And I learned like one particular day I hadn't been feeling well over the weekend. It was a Monday. I hadn't got enough sleep that night. And one of my parents like messaged me and was like, "Are you okay? If you are not okay, we don't have to have class. We can cancel." And I was like, "I'm fine." I think I just like forgot to put my essential oil on that day, and I was just like tired from the weekend. So I learned a lesson. Like I always have to be on even when I'm tired. So jumping jacks really help get my body awake, helps put some blood in my face. The essential oil also stimulates my face. I think peppermint is also a good morning riser. And that's what I usually do. And then sometimes I listen to music. And one thing that's really helped me, especially in the days that I'm tired, is listening to music in between my classes and right before my first class. Something uplifting. Right now, for me, it's Panic at the Disco. I can't even remember the song. I'm going to look real quick because it's like everything to me. But it just like gets me going. Like, I'm up! High hopes. I'm up. Like, I'm ready. I'm good. So for me, High Hopes is like super essential right in the morning because it's like super live. Sometimes I listen to Rihanna just to get myself just moving. Whatever it is that gets you pumping in the morning. That's what I usually do. And on my tired days, I put it in the middle in between my classes. When I first started teaching, I never got out of class at the 25-minute mark. It took me months to get to the point where I was done at 25 minutes. I am now at that point where most of the time I'm done at 25 minutes, unless my student is late. We've had IT issues. And sometimes you just have a slower paced student who just needs more from you, and you take the time. It's okay. I used to do all of my classes and then do all of my feedback when it was over. But I felt very frustrated by that because I felt like I was spending a lot of time doing feedback that I wasn't getting paid. And I was like, that extra 5 minutes is already in my pay rate. So I was like, I'm going to start doing my feedback immediately. I think the templates are very helpful. There are templates in every lesson plan. If you click on materials and then you go to feedback template, people have tons of templates that they've saved for themselves that you can grab, copy it, paste it, and be sure to personalize it though. Like don't get into the habit of just like throwing some information up there and being done with it, because the way you connect to parents and students, showing them that you care and that you're genuine, is if you're giving them feedback that's tailored to how they performed in that lesson, giving them homework or tips for how they can work on something. Like I won't just tell my kids they need to work on the short I don't just tell my kids that they need to work on the short I sound. I also give them the words that they should work on in particular. So always kind of giving them a homework assignment and then giving them the material or referring to them a place in the lesson where I can say, review these slides for homework. So that's very beneficial, but it also cut down on my time spent after my classes were over doing work, but it does mean I have to be very efficient with my timing so that I can get that feedback done. If you are just starting, if you are a few months in, do not do that. That is something I had to really work up to and work really, really hard to get to. So throw that out if you're, throw it out. It's a goal but it is not the goal right now. Right now, just try to finish your classes before the 27-minute mark, because by 28, you should be preparing for the next class, and you don't want to be late. So I would say there's no problem if you're going over in your classes. There's only a problem if you're late to your next class. And, you might be like scared to book back-to-backs until you get your timing right. That's how I learned to get my timing right, was because I had back-to-backs. And so I would still take the back-to-backs. I would teach yourself. Get comfortable, but if you wait till you're ready, you never do it. So it's like just, I wouldn't do like more than 2 if you're really nervous, but get a back-to-back in there and you'll learn. You'll get into the rhythm. It'll happen. So I would definitely say that back-to-backs are my way to do it, and I've been doing back-to-backs since the beginning. So some people like to schedule 30 minutes in between to get their feedback done. If that's how you pace yourself appropriately. I don't know if you can hear the music outside my window, but I'm going to go with it. The neighborhood is very vibrant. Anyway, if you need to build in those 30-minute breaks to give yourself a breather, to give yourself time to do feedback, then that's what you do. In the beginning, that was kind of more the vibe that happened for me too. I would say some tips for you to keep things high energy in your class. And so I really like singing. So my students are super, 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 super interested in me singing. I'm just going to go with the music because I'm sure you can hear it. I feel like they're parked. So we're going to just have to rock with it. But you guys are loyal by now, so we're going to just keep going. So like I sing, and I've said it in a couple of my other videos. Like I'll say, I see the cat, or hello, 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 hello. I introduce myself by singing. Or I just like, if I'm not getting the response I want, or if their energy is low, they're not participating well, and especially if they're younger, I will sing. I just don't know if you can hear that music, but it's like loud. Okay, let's go. And so I especially do that for my younger kids. And I also would say use your hands to create things. If you have to tell them like how many, I say how many do you see? Things like that. Anytime I have to say see, I go see or see. This is your way of telling them you want them to speak. They universally know like this means that it's their time to speak. And if they are not speaking, sometimes I go just lightly and I smile like. Especially when I say, please read, and they aren't reading. I'm like, things like that to help them kind of. I have students who I do this for, like, come on, you can do it, come on. And some of my students really, really love that, especially for the ones who are nervous. They're a little nervous, and if they don't know for sure, sometimes they won't say it at all. So that's kind of my way of like, yep, almost there, come. And they love that. So I definitely recommend finding ways to use your body to kind of keep things fun. I have kids that love to dance, and so I dance a lot. I have kids that, of course, love to sing. I have kids that love to draw, and so I'll go to the last slide, which is typically blank, and I let them draw certain things in the lesson. Or sometimes for a reward, I think of something that's happening in the lesson, like if we're talking about weather, and for the reward, they'll draw a sunny day or a rainy day. So I utilize the blank slide in the lesson also to keep things interesting, especially because you don't want things to get too monotonous for a student who takes a lot of classes, especially if they take a lot of classes with you. Thumbs up is always good. This is also really great for saying yes. This is great for saying no. They know this is not or no. You can do either one of those. High fives and fist pump. They love stuff like that, especially your boys who are a little older and they're like, too cool for school. So they like fist pumps. Try that. I have a star song. So they get 5 stars throughout the lesson. They're very important to them. If a student is ever not participating well or not giving you the response that you were trying to elicit, telling them that they will or will not get a star can sometimes make a big difference. I know I have one particular student who I think keeps booking me just because she loves my star song. So I give her a star and I say, a star, a star, a star for you, a star for 112. And she loves that song. So a star, a star, a star for you. And I just like use my hands as stars and I say for you. And then I finish with the heart. And they learn it and they love it. Many of my students love that song. Some of them don't care. But if I can tell they don't care, I just say a star for you. Either way. So that's something that I do that's uniquely mine, that my students enjoy. So you might find a star song or something like that. Don't forget to smile. Come up with a method for blending, whether you do cat, or if you do cat, something like that, so they have a visible representation of putting things together. I think that's very helpful. And when it's like something is like good morning, I always go good morning, and for me, I always say night. Things like that just help things be a little bit more clearer for them. And those type of movements for your interview and just as you teach are going to help enhance the process between communication between you and your student, and they'll remember them for the next class. So those are just some tips that I use for how to get my day started, how to stay successful while I'm teaching, how to keep things moving, and to keep my own self from going kind of crazy. I have like this ball that's a little textured, and sometimes I just like roll it in my hands. They can't see it, but I'm like down here and I'm like rolling in it. I'm doing like this to try to keep myself calm because I'm like, starting to feel like, oh, this class is going longer than it's supposed to, or they're not being kind today, the student is being very mean, or the student isn't listening, and I'm just down here squeezing my ball so that I can be just well-mannered and good-tempered, even though I'm kind of going a little crazy inside. So that's like a physical way to kind of get that energy out. And sometimes I take my hand and I go to the wall, not behind me where they can see it, but lower, and I tap it. That way I'm just releasing the energy somewhere in my body without being like this to my student. Like, I don't want them to ever feel something if I feel it. Like, they always get this, and I could be feeling like this, but my students are just going to see this, and I'm just tapping on the wall or I'm squeezing my ball. So I would recommend finding a way for you to relieve that tension and that stress so you can avoid rushing your student, or you can avoid being brash with your student. And that way, when I'm correcting them, I'm like, can you please do that again? And this time, read. Or I say something like, please stop doing that. But inside, it's like, that's okay. They don't need to know that. It's not part of the job. So those are some tips for keeping things lively in your classroom, for keeping yourself lively in your classroom, how to keep stress low for you, and then also still be successful throughout the interview process and while teaching. Enjoy! Thanks.